recording, but you may not have.
And they're finding
See, that's the piece.
and they haven't been able to fix it for 2.5 years.
So you may or may not have display up here because apparently this did an update like a week ago. And it's saying that our cable now needs to be upgraded to a 2.0.
So we just can't see anything.
So yeah, it's down here. It's being recorded. So
I can hear you all now too. I hope you
this
can
is
hear
the
me.
part where we're not going to see it on the TV, right?
Can't see you, but I
Okay.
can hear you.
The cable.
Why don't you just get a little tape and tape that?
Okay. Are we going to order more cables? Or a different cable?
Don't you love that?
That's a big TV. How much did that set us back?
Probably not.
Okay. Just not right now.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no, that's
Yeah, because it did that after you left. Then I came back and it says, okay, now do you want to upload the program or whatever it was? And I'm like, sure. So anyway,
right.
we just tried.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm gonna get us started. Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
So
So, okay.
then
We gotta start.
we'll
Nope.
call this meeting in order at 6:01 with flags saluted, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
timing. Yeah. All right, are there any modifications needing to be made to the agenda this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll approve the agenda and move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to be considered?
I motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, Laura, roll call vote.
George.
Yes.
Soren.
Yes.
Russ.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Any patron comments tonight, Laura, or anything? Okay.
Nope.
Then we'll dive directly into reports with our inflection representative. I'm sorry, is it Kyle?
Yes.
Okay. Thought I heard that. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
And so it's not going to let me project it up there.
No,
Is the report different in here?
I can send it to all.
We're gonna have to act it.
That's the one we have.
There's
no, it's a different one.
It's a different one.
It's the anchors, just to give you that foundational
Okay.
background. He has a presentation. Do you want me to share?
We share the slides of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
just do that.
Let's say, can you bring your computer up on the table? Seal?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
We're gonna make it.
No, it's like, we'll,
Savannah.
we can hold it like a weight.
Well, my cord isn't long enough.
It's okay. It's okay.
We'll just put it down.
I have to send it to you.
Yeah, okay.
And you can,
Absolutely.
you're great.
Well, the beauty of this is we've got a pretty small group, so we can kind of talk through this and probably treat it a little bit as a conversation. So just a little bit of my background, Kyle Ayer. I do work with Inflection. I also have my own firm that works with small school districts on a lot of different things. But tonight I'm wearing my Inflection hat. And we started working with your staff earlier today on the inflection approach. And I want to start with, I understand that the board has done some work around a strategic plan. In both my roles with Inflection and Assist, we work with boards to do strategic plans. And I know Stacy's got some experience with the inflection approach, and I'm glad that the district has partnered with us, because I believe, and I would tell you my background is as a 23 years in education, most recently superintendent in the Oregon City School District. What I love about the inflection approach and what I work with is this is truly taking what we know about organizational theory and embedding it into schools and creating schools where our systems actually produce what it is that we're trying to produce for our students. It's also very localized. Okay, so in terms of when we talk about what we're going to cover today, is there's a portion of this that is what's really important is what are the values here, not somewhere else around the state. And what is it we want to accomplish with our students? What is it we want all of our graduates to leave with? And that is also very local as well, too. And so we have started a process today to start to gather that information. I know there was an earlier attempt at that. We didn't quite get enough information, so that's kind of a big launch. Had a great time with the staff today. Most of them were engaged in the activity that we did and getting some feedback that help us start to develop what are those values and what is that holistic vision of readiness for LC School District. And so, do you have the slides in front of you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay,
They went through, I don't know.
they're making their way around chatting right now, right?
Are they being emailed or are they
They
going to?
are.
Okay.
Yeah, I just emailed it.
So and I think you received the information around the anchors earlier. And so when we talk about the work that we do and the approach that we have, the two anchor pieces that are vitally important to doing this work are one, we figure out what the values of the community are. So when we look at a set of values, and values are something that you would find typically in your strategic plan. And I will say on the side, like I've seen the draft work that you did there, we're going to take that work as part of our process as your voice and embed it into some of the work that we're doing currently with staff and then with students and then later on with parents. When we create those value statements for you, what we refer to as maxims, we want when people look at those and they come into LC that they see themselves in those, right? Like if we do this right, if we engage the community enough to where we get enough voices, most, if not all of your parents, community members, students, when they come in and they see that, they see themselves in it. Like, yeah, that's us. That's LC. The same thing for the vision of readiness. Vision of readiness, what we're talking about is we're talking about skills that we want all of our students to leave with. And one of the mistakes, I talked to your staff about this earlier today, that we sometimes make is one, we get a little bit focused on the knowledge skills. This is the stuff we've traditionally done, right? Reading, writing, math. And those are important. We do that really well, honestly. What we tend to miss the boat with is we miss the boat with other what we kind of refer to as 21st century skills. Some people in industry call them soft skills, right? Things like adaptability, resilience, collaboration, like things like that we know you need to have to be able to go out into the world of work, right? To be successful in college, be successful in the trades, be successful in the military. And so there's a whole host of those. And we could attempt to do all of those without any focus. And we're going to tend to have a splattering of kids that kind of come out as graduates, maybe having this skill, that skill, what have you. Part of our work of creating that holistic vision of readiness is you get really focused in on what are those things that your community really wants to see their kids graduate with. And then we are going to focus on that in terms of looking at our systems and the type of education we provide students so that we can ensure that when kids leave LC, they are able to do A, B, and C. Right. And that doesn't mean that the whole host of other skills that we, people need aren't going to get addressed or aren't going to happen. It's just we're going to focus to ensure that these ones our students they graduate with, and we ensure that they graduate with. So do you have the slides yet?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So if you take a look at slide 2, this is a little bit of what I've been talking about, which is what we're trying to create is your shared identity. That's your maxims. That's your values. Those should inform the structures that we have in place. When we talk about structures, this is everything from hiring practices, right, to how we, as a board, how do we create our budget, right? How do we develop our budget? Like everything we do should represent those values that this community has. Like they should be embedded in that. Those structures then should support the type of learning that we want to have for our students. If we do this part well, those values show up in the learning that we're trying to do. And then that learning should be lined up with trying to hit that target of what is it that we want our students to be able to graduate with. We already know we have in place graduation requirements, state standards, all the knowledge-based stuff is currently there. But what are those bigger skills that we want to ensure every kid in LC leaves with? And so this is what we do as a process of building this in. Now, what I will tell you is this is not a short process, right? This isn't something that we have a couple of meetings with, and then LC School District is off and running, right? This typically takes years, and it is a process that is, as I show you kind of this next slide, you can move that next slide if you'd like to. We will start to develop these pieces, and we'll work deeply to make sure that we've got the values and the holistic vision of readiness embedded into all of them. But over time, you'll strengthen some, and then as you strengthen others, some of the others will become weaker and need some adjustment. What we're really doing is we are kind of training your school district to continually reflect on the work that they're doing based on those two anchors, all the systems, what we do for kids, so that you can continue to improve and get more dialed into what it is that your community really wants out of your school district. Now, I'll pause there and say, like, My desire to do the inflection work with school districts is I think this is typically where we miss the mark. Like our communities oftentimes feel as if our schools are separate from us. They're a place we send our kids, right? They're not doing the things that maybe we value, maybe some of it, maybe not others. We're not exactly sure what we're going to expect from one teacher one year to the next, right? And so it creates a lot of people that start to then get focused in on what do I need individually, right? And when we do this way, where we hit the values on the mark, we hit that goal of holistic readiness on the mark, we get to a point where all of a sudden people see the value throughout, right? They have some consistent experiences. And so that's what we're going to work for. And that doesn't happen overnight. Okay. Now, when you go back and look at your strategic plan, if we embed these two anchors in that, you'll be able to create your mission and vision, which we'll refer to as kind of your shared purpose. And then you'll also, as we get into this later on, be able to track where you're actually at progress wise and see where you're at in terms of moving. And that is typically, I will tell you, I'm working with another district right now outside of Inflection on their strategic plan. The strategic plan is going into its 5th iteration. They have no way of tracking their progress on it. It's kind of like, look at it. How are we doing? Let's take a look at different things, figure it out. We want you to be able to actually see how you're doing in different areas and rank it on a scale that's consistent, and then make decisions based off of that. So hopefully this will help in some of your efforts around that as well. The navigation system that you're looking at, this is actually one that is the one that we use in California. California is doing a huge amount of funding around the community schools model, which lines up well with our model. And so we use this step-by-step process. So we start with, step one, we're creating that shared identity, which is your maxims, which we got started on today. We're creating your shared purpose and your shared vision of readiness, which you see in step 2, which we also got started on today. The other portion of this that I skipped over on purpose is collaborative leadership. So part of this work as well, which I think is also extremely powerful, is districts, I'm not forecasting, but districts run through superintendents. Like we tend to leave and go. Like I was there for a while in my spot, and then somebody else comes in. What we oftentimes as well see in schools is we have a really good superintendent, really good principal. Things go really well, and then they leave because they were carrying the water or they were doing most of the leading. That effort goes with them and it deteriorates over time. Part of what we're trying to do is also create a collaborative leadership structure within this district that's tailored towards who you are, that continually does this work. So if Stacy does ever leave and somebody else comes in, that leadership continues, that continuity of what you've created continues, which gives you longevity as a district in terms of what you're able to accomplish. You're not starting over every time leadership changes, every time a superintendent or a principal leaves. All right, so that's part of this work as well too. What you'll see as we move through those is those are kind of our little tiles that we talk about different areas that we want to make sure we see the values and the vision of readiness in. So you see anything from how do we communicate with the public, to how do we empower students? What are some of the universal practices? When we say universal practices, we're talking about things that happen in every classroom, every period, every day. Evaluation processes, onboarding new staff, things of that nature. We want everything to line up with what you do. And the next slide through, I believe this is a district that does, for instance, MTSS, right? So you have started that process. Sometimes when we come in, people are like, well, hold on, we already do MTSS, we already do PBIS, we already do, you name the thing. Those things fit into the system that we're creating. And so you can see we kind of map out for districts that are doing MTSS, where MTSS falls into our process so that you can see that it will live in there as well too. It's not saying everything that you're working on right now goes away. If you've got good things like MTSS that are happening, we can build those within the system that we're creating. And then moving forward, talking a little bit about, actually, I'm going to pause there. Are there any questions related to this? So next I'm going to move into kind of, no? Okay, I'm either doing great or community engagement. Okay, what we're going to do through this phase. So in about the next 4 weeks, and you can see some of your staff members on the pictures there. I was able to get those embedded in today. The process is to engage your students, staff, your families, and your community members. This doesn't work when we leave a group out, right? We have to have the voice of the community. That's the work that we're re-engaging and to try to make sure that happens, right? And what we are trying to find is you're going to have people their values and what they want to see happen for kids are going to be all over the place. We're looking for where do they most connect? Where do we have these biggest connections? We're going to try to do this over about a 4-week period. Sometimes it takes longer, right? If we're not getting to the numbers we want, we continue to go back out and continue to try to get feedback. But we're going to try to do this within about a month. Okay, now within about a month as they're gathering the data, then we're going to work and we're going to start coming back with drafts to the district for the district to look at, okay, and consider. Moving to that next slide. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting to tell you guys to move through slides. You'll see a goal on the bottom of this slide. Like our overall goal when we look at LCA is in terms of what we're going to kind of use as markers of are we getting enough information, is we're looking for about 75 students, about 25 staff members, and about 40 family and community members. Okay, and so we're trying to get the results on the survey up to those levels. And we're also doing activities. So today I engaged your staff in an activity that we do that you can kind of see in that picture. You might see a little animal or many animals smashed into one. We have a fun little activity that sometimes people look at us and go, "Are you kidding me? We're going to do this?"
Felt that.
Where-
It was fun.
You guys, that's right. You guys did some of this, right? Like at first you're like, "What?" And then it's like, "Okay, this is cool." We did that with staff today. They're going to engage in students, I believe, this week with that Thursday. And then we're going to launch that survey out. And what works really well is when kids do it, we launch that out with parents to alert them that happened as well too. And I know I heard your staff talking about how to make that happen. And then when kids go home, parents actually know what happened at school. There's a good conversation that happened, and we tend to have higher engagement on the survey from parents because of that. So we've worked with the district to make sure that happens, and I've got a really good feeling that we're going to do pretty well with that. So as fired up as your staff was today.
Yeah, we're stuck there than I anticipated.
Yeah, there was tons. Yep.
That's right. It was fun. And I have to tell you, I just tip my hat to your staff. They were fun to work with. The next slide that you go to, it has some examples of some of the maxims, the values, and from different places. And I'm going to have you focus on the one that's got the blue background. This one's out of Forest Grove. So I use this one often as an example because they were able to engage they're a much bigger community, but they were able to engage their community and their staff and their students in a pretty highly effective way. And they did some extra things as well with their community members to get information, but they created some really strong maxims. And then their maxims also lined up with their vision of readiness, which I'll show you next. But if you look at those maxims, this kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to end up creating. And we, by the way, the work that we're doing with you, we do this work where we create the graphics for you. We create it in a way where if you want to end up, which we would encourage, like you start to put this up everywhere, it's something that becomes a part of who you are. We create all these graphics for you as well too. So in Forest Grove, they ended up with, we care deeply, we stand strong, we adapt and grow. Okay, those are the values that came out of all the engagement from their community. Okay, they have a little bit more information underneath them, like we care deeply, encouraging and supporting each other. Right. So in theirs, they actually added some words there to make this more meaningful. You'll see in some of the other examples, you see some of that as well too. The Santiam Canyons, the bottom one there with the big S stands. So they have the wildfires. They did theirs after the wildfires, which had a great impact on that. We also did the same thing in Paradise, California, after their wildfires. So you saw a lot of the values come out of that unfortunate experience. But you've got some examples there where you can kind of see what it is that we're creating with maxims. If you look at the next slide, this one is what Forest Grove was able to do. And if we get really good engagement, it is very possible as well that our values will line up directly with our skills that we're working to develop with our kids. So this is called their learner profile. And you can see in the inside circle, you see their values. And then on the outside circle, you see the skills that we're going to work from kindergarten through 12th grade in every single classroom, every single day to develop. And so like we care deeply, they're focused on those skills of empathy and collaboration. Okay. We stand strong, resilience and responsibility. We adapt and grow, critical thinking and communication. Now, I always use this example. We try to put this into layman's terms, like local community members, like when they see the term, they understand it. I will share with you, like on the Forest Grove one, the critical thinking is kind of education needs. Right. They had some different options to consider. One in particular was curiosity. I do encourage districts to pick words that are maybe not so much the educator's terms, but the terms that our community, like they hear it, they understand what we mean by that. Because what makes this powerful is it doesn't just happen within the building, it happens outside of the building as well too. If you think about some of these skills, if parents come in kindergarten and we're onboarding kindergarten parents really well, and we're teaching them a little bit about what we mean by these skills and what we're going to do in kindergarten class to develop those. And then they hear that during third grade conferences. All of a sudden, guess who's doing it at home too? Right? We've just empowered our parents to be part of the work that we do here. And that can be extremely powerful. So we've gotten started on that. I believe that's also going to help you, and we will take your strategic plan work as well too, and provide you some input on that and use that as part of our information and our data. But this is what we kicked off today, and this is where we're headed.
It's great.
Are we invited to one of these?
We had a session
We did
months
yeah.
ago.
I was like,
Yeah.
Discussion about having one
Oh, it
that
was-
we're not there in case people are intimidated by being on the board, that people would come.
and all this data will go to you guys
Yeah.
and
So we go through it, and yeah, we start, and that's where we start crunching the data, and we come back with some of the things. Like at first, we kind of come back with a lot, like the themes and a lot of the words within those themes that we were hearing from people. And we start to work with district to whittle those down to the terms that are going to mean the most in this community. And we typically put a few drafts in front of the district. Like I've had a district in more towards the I-5 corridor recently, where we've gone back and forth multiple times, and we've landed on, yeah, this is what makes sense in St. Paul.
it's great because it's not the board doing it, it's not me doing it, it's everyone, and it's a third party that's actually taking all that data.
And so we're going to learn something from all of this as well.
Yes.
I'm really, really curious about, we have a lot of staff who don't live here
Mhm.
because there's no place for them to live in LC. They
Yeah.
commute. And so I'm curious how their work, how closely it aligns with the stuff that the community
Yeah,
and parents do.
absolutely.
Have you ever been in a school that's been
We
like that?
have been in all kinds where you have, yes, like people who don't live in town, people living in a big city, like we've done it all. And what we find is that while there is that physical disconnect of where we live, people, especially people who've been teaching within your system for a while, they get to know the community really well. Like I never lived in Oregon City as a teacher or later on at the end as a superintendent, but I got a pretty good pulse on what different portions of that community and what have you value. And so sometimes that comes out for the teachers as well too, as they're seeing it through that lens. And then they're also bringing through like what they're experiencing with their students in the areas that they think they need support with. And we just pull all that data together and we find that through line.
Are we including Learn at Home in this? I
Yeah,
know
they
they're
were in
doing
our-
kind of a tree.
They were in our meeting, our training today.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, they drew pictures, they put
They
together.
participated so well. It
Yeah.
was impressive. Yeah, it was amazing.
I like it. All right. Any other questions?
Thanks, Kyle. For
Yes, thank you very
doing all the work today.
I appreciate it. Nice to meet you, everyone.
And I'll pick my son out. He's in there.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome to go in there and do your other Zoom.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right. Next up, we have Ms. Shunk with Learn from Oregon report.
Hi, everyone. All right. Yeah, we did. We participated. We know how to do everything virtually. So that was really exciting. And actually, Catherine Ellis joined us because she participated virtually as well. So she got to see how we do this. Okay. And then, by the way, Stacy, I sent you those photos.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so we had a great month in March for Learn at Home. I included our assembly slides like usual and our April school-wide newsletter. We had a fun time in our assembly. Our assemblies just are such a joyful time. So if you ever want to be able to, ever want to participate, we would love to have you there. Our word for this month is imaginative. That's our character trait that we're focusing on. We have a lot of fun. Just like years past and throughout the school year, they do dress up days and some of our students get really into it. And the particular family that I added their pictures, they get really excited about, searching for a leprechaun and that whole bit. So that was a lot of fun. So I included that. Our treehouse collaboration, we just submitted the designs, the final designs to our the lady that we work with for t-shirts. So everybody is very excited about that. And it's such a unique experience too, because every treehouse really took a lot of time to think about it. It was a very organic approach. And I'm very proud of our teachers for providing that space for students to be part of that process. We have OSAS testing just finishing up. We're in the makeup stage this week, finishing up, and that's for the district, the brick and mortar as well. So we have a few students that we're still making sure that they finish their testing in English language arts. And we have, now let me go down to the next one, instruction and growth. So we have some really, spring is just when everything blooms every single time. And students are taking their Spanish skills and they're comprehending sentences that Mr. Cedarlin puts out. They're showcasing what they're learning in social studies. They are doing an amazing job with reading, and I'm just so proud of them. There's a lot of momentum right now and throughout the year, but I'm really proud of the vocabulary that's being developed. I'm very proud of how they are using that and how they describe things. It's really exciting. Community engagement, we are meeting up at the Tulip Farm in Woodburn on Friday, which is exciting. So I'll be up working with Stacy and the brick and mortar teachers this week. I'm driving up tomorrow, so I'll be there Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday we're going to be meeting with our families and students that are able to be there. And then we are now working on a talent show, so it can all be done digitally. Of course there's gaps. Like we think, okay, can digital come alive? Can we do an organic process? And I am telling you, we are making it happen at Learn at Home, and I'm very proud of our group. I'm very excited. So this also reminds me of a few years ago when I made a very exciting report, but I just have to say, I'm so happy with what I'm seeing with our students. And we have a lot of students that we've welcomed back. They've tried, their brick and mortar in their districts, and we just recently welcomed several back in, which is a big sign of what we're doing here. Works for families. Do you have any questions?
When is that talent show going to be? Because I would love to watch that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So we are just finalizing that, and I'll send it out. We're going to be probably doing 2 different shows, depending on how many turn it in, because a lot of our, students are turning in videos. So we're doing it. They have, a couple minutes, and then they're going to be sending in that video to us. So they won't be performing their talent live, but we are all going to be able to watch it in a more kind of condensed way. So I'll get that information to you, all of you.
I've been attempting to schedule a way to attend one of your school's events, and it never has worked out. Now, the one on April 30th, your assembly, what times?
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible to watch that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our assemblies take place at 8:30 in the morning, typically the last Thursday of the month. And what I'll do is, I'm not quite sure how to do this, but maybe working with Laura, she can send the link. I don't know how. Stacy and Laura will share with me how I can get that information to you all.
Thank you. I think I might be able to squeeze that one in instead.
We would love that. We would absolutely love that. Yeah. Thank you.
Love to know some ideas that you might have for us as board members to reach out to that virtual families, how we can engage with them better. I would have loved to have shown up and supported the Tulip Festival, but it was just too quick of a turnaround for me to get the day off of work. But something like that in the future, I would love to come and meet some of those families, and I would love to know how we can hear more from those families as well.
I appreciate that. And, we've incorporated some of your statements, but we have Class Dojo that is active online. So if you ever want to share a statement or have any of them be able to contact you or start some sort of dialogue, I can post that on our Class Dojo. It's very active in terms of and that might be a neat way for you to be in there. I could also, I don't know, can you be included in Class Dojo? You're welcome on our site. I just don't know what it looks like for board members. I don't know how that works.
Sort of operational grounds, but I just would hope that they know that we're here doing the work to support all of Alcee School District, and that includes them. So I'm just hoping and looking for other creative ways to incorporate that information and those families as well. So
we
appreciate that.
A little bit of guidance on that, because it wouldn't really be appropriate for a board member to go on a field trip for the school district at brick and mortar. Unless we were like a volunteer in that space. And so I'd look to you to maybe give the board some guidance on what those, because it's a whole new world,
It's a
right?
community event. Is it a field trip or is it a community event? Because
It's a, yeah,
Part
we're
of-
calling it it's an informal meetup. Yeah,
It is.
informal
I think
meetup
that-
community event.
that's what I
Yeah,
was
I think
thinking, and
that
I
would be
was
appropriate.
trying to not.
I
it's
don't
too soon
know
to turn around
about
and
the
say,
direct community. I mean, they can reach out to you.
Absolutely, because
But
we're
yes.
on the website. But I was just thinking, to me, that seemed like a learn at home community event,
Yes,
like we
absolutely.
have in our
Like open house or
gymnasium.
whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I think
well,
those-
sometimes I can't make it. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I think those are appropriate. I think,
Field trips wouldn't be appropriate
Right.
unless I had a student or
Yes.
something, but
Yeah.
that appeared to be a community event.
Or like reading in a classroom or attending a class if we were
Yes,
invited.
yes.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have attended a class before and that was a
Great.
lot of fun.
I guess when all else fails, we can always run it by you and Heather, right?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to add a really quick little story. So we have this just happened, I guess, during spring break. One student, and I don't know what town they were in. I need to ask. I can't remember. But anyways, one student was wearing an Elsie shirt, not an Learn at Home shirt, an Elsie shirt. And another student on another side of the restaurant spotted the Elsie shirt, walked right over there. And this was nowhere near Elsie. But anyways, walked over there. Hey, you have, and they're in two different classes, but because we do a lot of very intentional multi-age grouping type of connection activities, it was like, hey, I know you, you're Bentley. And he said, yeah, I am. And then they were in the restaurant together, all because of the Elsie shirt that they were wearing. So they're very proud Elsie School District members, students. So that would be wonderful.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Heather.
All right. Thank you.
All right. MLEL district plan. I think that goes to you, right, Stacy?
It's not actually. So Heather and Sandra
Oh.
Pinion,
Well, look at that.
yep, are in charge of
totally
that. That's a requirement. They
That's
just,
right.
just complete.
I forgot.
And Heather, it was you and Sandra together, correct?
It is. Yeah. This year, I shifted that over to Sandra and she did a fantastic job. We had a lot of support from our ESD supportive person that we work with for ELD, and they shared a lot of resources that other small districts use. So and then I believe Laura posted the new ELD plan that Sandra worked tirelessly on. She did a really great job. She was fantastic to work with. We've met since that was shifted to her right at the beginning of the school year. So she's been doing it piece by piece, got it all submitted in time. She supports students in class and also online as well. So she just recently went out and did an ELPA test for a kindergartner for Learn at Home Oregon. I think she drove like an hour and a half there and sat there with the family. She builds rapport and she's doing a great job with all of that. So we have just a few students that we're supporting, but we're supporting them really well. And like I said, she's still doing all of her wonderful work with building capacity with our classroom teachers, both Learn at Home and brick and mortar, so that everybody knows how best to support our ELD students, which really in turn supports the entire classroom. So.
And does everyone know what ELD is? English language development. So, okay.
Sorry about that. I skipped over that. Thank you, Stacey.
And they changed. Don't worry, they'll change them.
ESL.
ESL and then ESOL and then yeah. So
Yeah,
sorry,
and now it's going to be something different. It will be something different soon. I think it's is bilingual language learner. Yeah, bilingual language learners to really acknowledge that they are coming in with their native language.
Yeah.
They have that superpower.
Can I ask a question or am I waiting? I'm sorry, I can't see the screen.
know,
So my
I keep
my nonverbal communication is not spot on. Can I ask a question or is there a full presentation on this one?
I think that we just needed to present that we have the that we have the plan and it's been yeah.
So I just have a question on section 5 under the equitable program access. On box number 5, that it states the IEP or section 504 team includes participants who have knowledge of, and then lists this. We're not applicable right now because the district does not have students that meet both of these requirements. What happens next year when a student comes in that meets those? Like what's our transition plan? How does that work? Is that we have to hire a new staff member? Is that we have to do additional education? What does that pivot look like?
Okay, so you're asking, and I'm like quickly scrolling down because I completely
Oh,
I
sorry.
apologize. I completely forgot I was doing this. So let me just look. I guess from what I'm hearing is if students are in an IEP category or another special programs category along their ELD category, what would that look like in terms of supporting the student? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, I think I'm actually asking what is the district's philosophy on the pivoting each year, because we're always going to have a new group of students that comes in.
And Heather, you can back me up if you want, but I mean, really, it is training,
okay?
Because it's also going to be dependent on what the student's individual needs are.
Okay.
And if we can't provide adequate training, then we're going to have to look at, looking into the ESD and what kind of resources they have that we could contract with.
And I asked that question because I wanted to be able to say, like, well, what do we need to forecast in a budget, and what do we need to consider in that space and do? So thank you for that.
Yeah, I echo what she said. We respond is basically it. We respond in a very comprehensive way.
Perfect. Anybody have any other questions?
I just had questions about the blank parts. Is there an updated version of this? There's just a number of pages that have unanswered questions. And I didn't know if the plan was still in development or if this is
I cannot apply.
a draft.
Well, all of our documents are going to be living documents because as things, as services are needed, they will be developed. But many of the blanks are going to, Heather, you can correct me, but they don't apply right now.
Right. That's it. We work with
so 6 is where it says it doesn't apply. Then there's somewhere it just says there's the question, then it says district response in brackets where we put a response. There's just nothing there. It says district response. Right. I'm worried that those got missed. But
I don't think Sandra missed anything, but Heather, you can explain.
Yeah. No, and just like what Stacey mentioned, that it is a living document. So we're actually still in the process, just like every other district, working with our ODE, the ODE ELD, but head of ELD. And she goes through reviews and she provides us with feedback and areas that we need to, address or what we need to do in those spots so that it makes sense. But I do see what you're saying, and I acknowledge that it does look like, why is it not complete at this moment? But yeah, it's a living document.
Thank you for the clarifications on those items.
And I appreciate that you looked into that. And that's something that it's just continuous so that we're improving it like everything else, continuously looking at it. But like I said, we have ODE and we have our ESD partner that works with us to make sure that we're on the right track.
All right. Thank you again, Heather, for all of that detail. And thank you to Ms. Pinion for the work on that as well. Outstanding. Both of you.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent report.
Hey. Every time I say I'm not going to read the report and then I read it to you. So I highlighted so that I will not read it word for word. But some key takeaways under the facilities and transportation, continuing to access and strategize around grounds beautification. So we have a lot of plans in place and looking at budget and how that can work. Things like courtyards and plants and raised beds, and how can the art program and the CTE program all coordinate together and then carry out, like we had talked about with some community involvement, but coming up with a plan to actually execute that. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Keenan in the transportation department, really doing an outstanding job coordinating with all these co-op travel changes. because it's coming from Monroe to me, but sometimes it's to Joe, and we don't get all those updates. And so Keenan has said, I need to be on every single email. And so sometimes he knows when travel plans have changed before I even do. And he's taking care of it. He's letting every secretary know, all the families know. So doing a really good job on communication, which is helping me because there's just a lot. Within our schedule systems and K-12 programs, a big piece that was done, our academic advisor pulled an F list 2 weeks ago, and there were significant numbers of Fs. And so held meetings with every single student and talked with teachers and came up with a plan to attack that list. Anyway, it was a great job on her part to kind of initiate that and reach out to those kids. Tutoring now is happening for 4th through seniors in math, and that's on Wednesdays, 3:30 to 4:30 for our elementary, and then 3:30 to 5. To 0 off of there. 5 with Mr. Schlechter. And then those kids are able to ride the activity bus, but they get a full hour and a half, which is great. Just wanted to highlight, obviously, the inflection work that we've been doing this year, but really hitting it hard so we can have everything wrapped up and moving forward with the plan at the end of the year. April advisory focus is integrity and honesty. We've had some incidents recently of, I'm just going to call it degrading communication. And there's a huge range. We have wonderful kids. Kids make mistakes. And so we thought, yes, there are consequences for these actions. We dealt with that. But this is a really incredible opportunity to teach. Mm-hmm. And so during advisory, created a whole lesson plan all around that. It was very engaging, self-reflecting, group reflection. How do we improve this? How, as a member of society, how do we upstand? How do we act when we hear something we know is not right? And haven't heard from all the teachers, but the ones I have, and one of our subs, longtime sub, she's been teaching for 50 years, said it was absolutely the best experience. And she had the junior class. So I thought that was a really positive outcome for a situation that was not great. So proud of our staff and our students for doing that. Under fiscal budget season deadline, Stephanie, Nancy, myself, we met that deadline. Lots of little line item cuts and shifts and coming back and okay, one more meeting. Anyway, extremely proud of them, and we have a great budget to present next week. So thank you. Discipline data, mid-March to, well, yeah.
Must have been the
most of
sunshine.
a little energy there. So doubled some trackers there. Yeah. And highlighted our kindergarten class is not leading, but they're there's a 5th grader in the running for top marks. And so are the 7th and 8th graders and our juniors.
However, I expect it from kindergarten.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So it's that time of year.
And it is that time of year.
We see it every single year.
Yep.
It is that time of year, and talking
It's
about
like-
learning opportunities.
It is. It's learning opportunities.
And accountability opportunities.
Exactly. Yep. So we're working on that with our intervention team and having those conversations. So just sharing that data with you.
It's like fun days.
And a lot of it is, some requires additional levels of intervention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is just touching base with the kid, having a great conversation, getting them back on track. Because they're great kids. I have the summary of the attendance data. And again, we have some high flyers and we have a lot of great rates. So I'm proud of the kids for coming every day, and it is hard. Sometimes we see a dip after the winter sports. There's a little bit of a break there. It is the nicer weather. Things just shift. But I'm proud of them. They're doing a good job. And again, I think it comes back to building highly engaging, interest-based classrooms where kids want to be here. Professional development. So a lot of PD has been happening. And it's just so incredible. We talked about it today with our inflection meeting. And one of the key attributes that we all said was key in our success is being lifelong learners. So I think modeling that for our kids and for each other is really important. That just because we got a degree and we're here doing this doesn't mean we know everything. We have so much that we can learn every single day. So we did Synergy Conference. We had a lot of work coming out of that. Hungerford Law, that's a 1-day training at Blaine ESD. I am sending Heather to that one, and then she'll come back and we'll coordinate on that. PACE Business and Legal Conference that the three of us will go to next week. It's like a day and a half. Joint PD with Eddyville. They hosted us last Friday, and that was great. It was just a morning session, but it was an incredible opportunity to kind of individually reflect and look at how communication needs to happen and conflict resolution, but then also our teams that came were able to coordinate with like content and like grade levels. So that was great. And we had one of our Learn at Home staff members attend as well.
Oh,
Wonderful. Nice. Yeah. Tim is going to go to the BSAT level 1 training. We both can't be gone on that day because that would leave no one here. And I have done that training. So not that it doesn't hurt to continually refresh, but I'm sending him and then we'll coordinate on that. And then I just returned this afternoon from the athletic director conference. That was Saturday, Sunday, and this morning. A lot of great information there. We got all the league scheduling completed. So now we just add our non-league items, the redistricting, reclassifications. There's a lot of fun discussions going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, to be a part of that and then to be able to help Talon move forward with that. I'm excited. Okay, athletic department specifically. So all the coaching evaluations have been done. The conversations have been had, and we're looking at plans of action for growth and development in these programs. And you guys can ask questions, but I'm just kind of highlighting things I think are a little extra. Community engagement. We have health and wellness fair this Thursday during spring conferences, and that'll be in the gym. Obviously, we're in that final section for the shared vision for readiness approach. And then we are in the phase of planning kindergarten roundup, middle school success orientation, would be that 6th grade, but we're going to open it to all middle school because they all could use that refresher. And then also 9th grade on track. So those will all be orientations in May, probably the end of May. Any questions?
Yeah, can I circle back to the athletics? You're talking about coaching evaluations and discussions.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about, when coaches sometimes change year to year,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a new coach come in, how do you go about getting that new coach, I guess, teach them all the lessons that maybe
The expectations.
the other coach maybe learned at the end of the season before. Is there a budget for that sort of training, or
There is not.
for
Um,
coaches?
I am encouraging the PE. There is some funding in athletics, but of course it's a little tight. But yes, encouraging training as the coach and also a coach and team together. There's a lot of opportunities out there. One piece that I'm trying to build in, because there hadn't been evaluations, but coming forward with, here's a rubric, just like you would for instruction. Here are the domains. Here's the expectation. This is what we need. This is high quality coaching. Here's what this looks like in each of these domains. And then when we can meet, midterm, mid-season, we can have those conversations and we can say, you know what, doing awesome here, hitting it here. We need a little bit of work. This is what this looks like. I want to see practice plans, just like I would see instructional plans. I want to know what the practice plan looks like. What are we looking at? How are we identifying this? If we're struggling with breaking a press, that better be 20 minutes in there at least, whatever that might be. And I think those conversations just haven't happened. And so they're going to start.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, you have a coach who there's some tough lesson it took all season to learn.
Right.
They learned it.
Yeah.
Then they're gone. A new person comes in. You don't want to wait all season for them to have to learn it over again.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, is there a way to have them overlap a little bit, or is? This is a little in the weeds.
It's okay. Yeah. I think in the interview process, hopefully that's going to be evident. I mean, it's a little
I'm
bit.
just imagining there's
There's a
good lessons that get
Mhm.
learned and then they get lost sometimes.
Yep.
Although you don't know where that other coach has coached in the past and
Exactly.
what knowledge and skills and experience they bring,
Mhm.
new ideas, they have to have an opportunity to
To show there.
show their skills.
Yeah. Yep. But at least it's the start of a process. It's
Yeah.
a little bit more pre-teaching, evaluating growth.
And hopefully we get coaching that's got longevity and
Yeah.
consistency and
Yep.
builds programs.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for all that.
Welcome.
That's a lot. All right. Laura, anything for us for the enrollment report that you want to call out this month?
Not really. We have lost a few students. And then we did gain 3 more back from Learn at Home. The ones that we've lost in the building is really, Stacy and I were talking about this, travel time for the student. It just makes their day so long, and it affects their attendance. And so parents have made that decision to go ahead and move them closer. So nothing against us, just
A hard decision. Small classroom sizes or
Yeah.
an hour and a half one way. That's hard. So, well, you know the door's open, right?
Yes, they do.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
Thank you for calling that out. Appreciate that. And then anything on regular attenders?
No. I mean, I feel like kind of what I already mentioned in my,
Yeah. Screenshots for me.
Oh, right. Our business manager report, Stephanie.
Let's like to talk about money.
So as Stacy mentioned, the proposed budget is officially complete and ready to propose. It's been a lot of fun, actually. Obviously I wasn't here last year, wasn't a part of preparing last year's numbers, neither was Stacy, but I had a lot of fun taking those numbers and running with them in whatever fashion we could. And while budgets are always tight, even for us as individuals at home, it's been a lot of fun kind of plugging those numbers in where we felt like they belonged. So that'll be ready for y'all to look at, and the budget committee. Been paying attention to the grants, codings for those, making sure that everything's coded accurately, that we can pull from the grants and not the general fund as needed. Just kind of making sure everything's tidied up as we are approaching the end of the year already. Already signing on to start my pre-audit season. So get to do my first audit. That's going to be a lot of fun. Oddly
She's
enough,
excited.
looking incredibly forward to it. I know. Interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'm having a ton of fun being here. It's been great. So otherwise, you know, as individuals, like I said, we could talk all day about the kind of money we spend, but as a school, it's like there's not a lot of changes from last month other than we're just paying folks and continuing on. So yeah. That's really all I got.
Are we looking on diesel prices?
Oh dear.
Are we budgeted for
It's
that?
budgeted.
It's budgeted. It's
I
budgeted.
just budgeted about $7 a gallon for
It
next
was
year.
a huge,
It's less.
huge budget increase.
Yeah.
Actually, we were talking about all the savings we've done this year,
Yeah.
you know,
It all gets wiped
it
away.
all just
Yeah.
got eaten up. Yeah.
Yeah, it went to fuel for sure.
Too bad.
I know.
That's
It is-
one that fluctuates so much. If you have to almost over budget for it,
Yeah.
then you have no way to predict
Right.
what the economy is going to do in that space. So
Yep.
we can grant some grace in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate. I think the one thing I'll call out is ensuring that we're paying out of grants versus, I think of capital, but general funding, where we can allocate that. So
One of the
thank you.
things
That's a
we can't-
huge savings.
Yes, one of the things we came up against was the MOE, the maintenance of effort. So we have to keep track of those numbers as well, because if we take too much from the general fund, then it eats into that, which we were finding out. So there's a balance, definitely. But yes, we were making sure that everything is pulled from grants that can be without damaging that MOE number.
I know we got into a little bit of I'll say upset with our MOE in the past, or how are we doing in that space?
Right now, we're doing good.
Okay.
There's definitely some adjustments that need to be made, but it's nothing drastic. So, yes.
How are we as far as maintaining reserves and chipping away at working within our means? I know that should probably be a question for next week.
It'll be.
It's a question for this weekend.
Yeah.
I was we didn't get to go through the last budget season with either of you.
Right.
So knowing that we walked in operating beyond our means, and the goal is to get back to where we should be slowly but surely.
And I would say definitely we're holding steady at that deficit.
Yeah.
Because we did make so many cuts this year, and we absorbed positions, and we, cut automated things that, programs and subsystems that we are doing now as a human instead of a $3,000 program. So those cuts were made, but when we look at the cost of living increase, the step increases, the fuel increases, the utility, the legal, insurance, all of those, it really does eat it up. And so I feel like we are still at that deficit spending. So next year, we're going to have to either increase enrollment significantly, or we're going to have to get really strategic with cuts.
Okay.
I mean, nobody likes that answer.
hate
And
that,
I'm
but
sorry that
true.
you have to
Well, I
get that
think,
one, but I
with
think it's
the-
the reality that we have to be transparent about it also. So
100%.
thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
Well, I mean, I'm just anticipating with the schools closing in Corvallis, you might gain students that are just
Essentially.
hopeful, but that's another cost. I mean, when we think about the trip to town and back too and transportation, I wonder if there's a mechanism that can be used for transportation that goes further, if that's possible, if there's a number of students that would use it.
We absolutely can.
Yeah.
And then we get the 90% reimbursement. So it's definitely a possibility.
Okay, I have a question that's totally in the weeds, and I acknowledge that if I need to butt out, I can. But with the elementary school closing, and knowing we have a learn at home option, is there an option for learn at home students to combine in a home? To they'd each sign up, they'd each be their own, but they could be housed in one
one
space.
Like
Yeah.
a
So
co-op
let's say you have a stay at home
Like a co-op.
parent,
Yeah.
kind of like a co-op, but
Yeah.
you have a stay at home parent, and all of these other ones work where there's different schedules. That's an allowable thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And then are we allowed? I know we have to be very careful with our number ratios,
Right.
but we're still allowed to advertise, correct?
Yes, and we are.
Okay.
We've been increasing that this last 2 months, and then we'll continue that through.
Okay.
I think when you're looking at increased class sizes in the Corvallis area, it could
Well, and
be
lack of,
potentially.
not that we offer all the extra programs, they're also cutting a ton of programs.
Yes.
I mean, it's a bloodlet out there.
We are
From what I hear.
offering more programs than we had in the past,
Right.
which is good. And they're very different from what they can get there, which it's a good point.
I mean, I just
Some
think
doors might be
there's
opening.
attrition either way, but I feel like
And those decisions are happening this summer, so hopefully that marketing push is something that's going to happen
Yes.
soon.
And we'll have I didn't put that in my report, but now the budget is wrapped up, have to compartmentalize, but now it's building the master schedule for next year with the new hires and what skill sets and offerings we can do. And so we can promote all of those additional electives that we'll be adding.
Do we do open houses beforehand? We are totally out of our scope. I'm so sorry.
We do open house in the fall, but we are doing all of these sort of success, intro to middle school, intro to high school. We'll have all that information posted, but it's not truly an open house, but we do a kindergarten roundup. We could do an open
We
house.
could all share that in our own private spaces too.
Yes,
Okay, I
yes.
apologize. Totally took us into an operational scope that is not necessarily our space, but that is really exciting to just talk about. It fits into the budget, doesn't it?
Budget, and it's an extension of my report. Just forgot, right?
Okay. Any questions for Stephanie on the financial report? Any other ones?
She's doing an excellent job. I just need to say that.
Good job. All right. Well, then let's move into new business, and we'll go to the middle school planning follow up. I know. Good night.
Thank you. Okay, so we had great turnout on that follow-up survey, and they were really appreciative of those details that were missing before that we just weren't sure of and we didn't add in there. So after sharing that, middle school and high school lunch periods would be separate. There would be a middle school success course. Sorry. Oh, there would be a middle school orientation in the spring, and again, kind of a refresher when we come back in the fall, which I guess is still technically late summer, but late summer, fall. Schedule would be designed, typical secondary schedule, periods 1 through 7. There would be an advisory. It did not remove a teacher. Rather, the elementary teacher would transition to the middle school piece. So I just kind of articulated all those pieces so that it answered potential questions. And with that, 89.3% said, I support this change. And 10% said, I support the change still with reservation.
But nobody's against the change.
But no one is against the change.
That's a change.
So that is a
No,
shift.
right? That's a
Yes.
shift. Okay.
Yep. I think what continues to be important is really prepping and supporting the kids and the families through the process. Also, even stepping down into our lower elementary and looking at what does that preparation look like to be successful in middle school. So looking at some of those restructures and then, you know, making sure that the schedule aligns so that we can really truly offer more electives, get kids engaged. And I do believe this is going to happen with this shift. I'm hopeful that we'll see a reduction in some of the behaviors that we've seen at the upper elementary. Again, that presents a whole new set. But I'm excited about it. And I'm really happy with the input from the families. I think we had 39 people do the follow-up survey. That's great.
I love the feedback from the high school student.
I did get feedback from the high school student. Yep. And that was great. And I actually talked to some students, and I get it. They want their own high school.
Yeah.
We are too small to have our own high school, but the fact that lunch would be separate, they don't have to share that and do their own thing.
And I'm sorry, 6th, 7th, and 8th are not off campus, correct?
Correct. They are here.
So 9 through 12 is allowed
They
for
can
off
go.
campus,
Mhm.
but the middle schoolers, even if their lunch is separate, they are still
still here.
contained. Okay.
100%.
I just mean, did I say that wrong?
Yes.
Nope.
I did.
Yeah, they will not
It's a
leave.
bunch of 6th graders running in the murk.
Oh, like, kind of. I wasn't sure. Like, I was thinking to the high school. I was thinking to the high schooler side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've earned this privilege, and now,
Yeah.
but that's not a privilege that's
Nope.
earned yet.
Yes, correct. And looking at, having more of a core middle school teaching team. That's what we're building in this.
Yeah, I think
schedule.
that's the positive aspect.
And if there wasn't reservations, I mean, any parent is scared for those
Yes.
transitions. So reservation is healthy. and
It is
normal.
healthy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, it is operations, but I really want, we've been in contact as a team this whole time and sharing all the data. So I did want to bring it to
Yeah.
you guys for a vote.
You would like
You
us to
want-
vote
I
on
do.
this?
I
Okay,
do.
That's so. Then let's go ahead and take a vote, and we can do some discussion if we need to. So, is there a motion? Sorry, not a vote. Sorry, is there a motion to consider?
I'll motion to adopt the middle school inclusion of 6th grade moving forward into the 26-27 school year.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion or questions? Anything to throw out there?
I think it's fabulous.
Thank you.
Reservations are normal.
Yeah.
Everybody
And
will have their eye on
that
it.
double survey, really, that's, I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody had a problem, you've had so
Sure.
much
Yeah.
opportunity.
Well, and I think too, to that point, I would say, like, to our families that are engaging in the surveys, I think it's amazing.
Yes.
We're able to see and support what
Mhm.
our families want to see for their students as well.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciated all that input.
Yeah.
And then allowing them to write
Yes.
comments so that you know their concerns and can
Exactly.
actually address specifically written concerns.
Yes.
Yep.
That's gonna be awesome.
all right, Laura.
George,
Yes.
Soren,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Jamie. Yes. Christine.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Congratulations off learning. All right. Round 2 of our high school success act eligibility.
Yes. So part of the student success, the SSA, Student Success Act, which is all the grant funding for SIA, mostly C2E, wellness, all of those pieces. And then high school success, things around attendance, high school graduation rates, all of those pieces. Now they do a review to make sure that we are eligible to receive those funds, which they truly are necessary to keep our district going.
Is this where if we're not meeting that they can put action plans in place for us? or is-
100%, and they
Okay.
can take the funding away.
Okay. Thank you. I
Yep.
needed some clarity on that one.
Yes. And so there's 4 categories. And I think, Laura, you shared this with them, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So teacher collaboration around data, that one was fully in place in the fall, I believe. because we were showing proof of our PLC work that we had in place. But there were 3 other areas that were not. And so over the course of this year, Kayla and I have been meeting and working, and she's been working with staff and students to make sure all of these other pieces are in place. And we met with ODE, and they gave us fully in place on practices to reduce chronic absenteeism, equitable assignment to advanced coursework, and it's passing, but the system's ensuring on-time graduation. They want to do a check in the fall before they officially put the check on it. But she said we're doing everything to get us to that point. They just want to do a follow-up in the fall. So I thought that was excellent. Just some key points for everyone to know that we're going to continue to build on, and that, ensure the fully in place rating on track PLCs that meet every month. Orientations, that rising 9th grade on track, the senior success, the middle school success, all of those pieces, having that in the spring, and check-ins in the fall, getting ready, kind of a reboot kickoff. Enhanced LVCC and AP dual credit offerings. We're working on getting our new hires, making sure that they have those accreditations, or seeing if they're on track to obtain those. Just met with Willamette for the Willamette Promise, the Willamette ESD, and I think we haven't been taking advantage of some of those opportunities, and so looking to add those things like college level math, Spanish. We're looking at trying to get Spanish here on campus for next year, and the person in mind has that ability to offer dual credit, as well as the Writing 121 and Comp 111. Outreach. So Synergy data dashboards. We talked about that Synergy conference. From that, Laura and Kayla and I are working with the ESD, and we are revamping the entire dashboard Synergy system, which aligns completely with what ODE wants to see for our tracking. And it is going to be really fantastic. It's just one more system that we're getting in place. So making sure that we're all trained on that. On-time graduation. Oh, I just have typos. You guys, I don't look very professional here. I'm sorry. On-time graduation, systems of communication and progress for tracking plans and communication with families, especially the families who aren't always engaged, and coming up with different avenues for that. And that's going to follow into the reducing chronic absenteeism within that database and dashboard review. So those are our plans to make sure we continue to receive our high school success.
I believe you need to vote on this one, correct? They know that they need us.
That one was a little vague. I think go ahead and do it.
I think I did rather, because I'd rather have them post a vote if we had.
Exactly. I do too. Yes.
All right. Is there a motion to consider?
I mean, are we considering accepting the eligibility review?
I think it's an acceptance. Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the 25-27 HSS eligibility review findings as communicated.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion, questions?
I was just questioning about 25-27. Was that intentional?
Biennial.
It's biennial. Yes,
Oh, okay.
biennial. They run on it.
I guess I was looking at the title where it says 25-26.
Oh,
Their review.
that was the review for this
Okay.
year. Yep.
The
For the
reviews in the
biennial.
year.
Mhm.
Okay.
I realize that we're not 100% meeting this, but do you guys realize how much better this is than what it's been in years in the past? Like this is feeling very exciting. So
I'm very.
That's how you really feel.
We haven't had systems in place. We haven't had accountabilities. We haven't, they're growing pains for sure. There's no question, but there's a lot of work that goes into this. And this is exciting to see where we're going.
I really appreciate you saying that, because there are growing pains and there's a lot of frustration, but there's more excitement and willingness to jump in and give me the training and how do I do this and how do I be a part of this? And that's exciting for our kids.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So I'm
It's a lot of work and a lot of behavior changes, which is always hard to do physically. But if you can keep the outlook of the future for the students, that's priceless.
And in the long run, this actually makes our work easier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just takes a little
Once
bit
you get there.
Yeah. So thanks for saying that for all the people who are doing it.
Yes. All right. Anything else on the spine questions or anything else you wanted to present on it?
No, but I totally forgot a shout out for Laura.
Let's take a vote.
Sorry, you go.
Everyone vote to shout out me.
Yes.
Soren,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
We have nothing in old business this evening. We have nothing in our first reading, nothing in our second reading. So open it to board comments.
If you have not had an opportunity to read the update that came from OSBA regarding legislative updates, there's a lot of interesting information in there that might be some new opportunities, and be prepared for some policies coming
Yes.
our way.
Yes, Jamie had great questions, and most of them I responded back with, well,
It's coming.
OSBA
I think
is
that would be
Yeah.
the response. But one of them I would really love to know is if we have an opportunity back on the table for that hub grant.
yeah, and I don't have the data on what she had applied for, but I am sure.
Well, it was something through Benton County because it I think it originated through FEMA.
Okay,
And I don't know if it's going to look the same, but
Right.
it kind of sounded similar. So
I'm gonna look into it.
Yes.
That would be-
it was our kitchen plans.
Okay.
That came from, it was not FEMA.
It was a
EPA.
It was EPA.
EPA. I knew it was
Yeah.
another agency, and it was a partnership with the county.
The
It was
county
going to be
managing the
run.
grant.
And
Okay.
county had to find a fiscal sponsor, which I believe was the Benton Community Foundation.
Okay, okay.
And then was going to go through the process, but that's when budget cuts started happening at the government level, and
Gotcha.
everything
And it just went,
froze,
yeah.
and it just stopped.
Okay.
But it looked like I couldn't quite tell if that was like an emergency status.
And I have a meeting, all of the superintendents in the state meet on Friday in Portland.
Okay.
It's a 4-hour meeting, and we're gonna go through a lot of this. I might have more answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be exciting if we could fix some of that meal predicament.
Any other board comments? Anything the board would like to address or discuss on future agenda items for next month? We're going to see a lot of each other in the next few weeks, so it'll be fine. We can always bring it up then. All right, so then we'll go through key dates. Whew, need some water with it.
I know.
We're missing one.
I know. It's
Okay.
the 21st, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so we have April 15th and 16th this week, parent teacher conferences. April 16th is the Health and Wellness Fair. April 20th to the 24th is outdoor school. Have a great time, you guys. April 21st is going to be our first budget meeting, which will be at 6 p.m. Thank you. Red Cross will be here on the 22nd. Shout out to everybody who's making special time to do that, because that is our last one, hosted by Miss Mary Ann Carr. Okay, then on the 23rd, we'll have an executive session only, and that will be virtual. So we'll open public session, close in public session, but we'll only have an executive session meeting that evening. The 28th of April, we'll have our kindergarten roundup from 4 to 5:30. April 30th, we'll have Peaceful Luminaries. May 4th through 8th, it will be the Staff Appreciation Week. May 6th, our 6th grade success and 9th grade on track event. May 8th will be our teacher workday, no school. May 9th will be prom. May 11th, we'll have another school board meeting. And then May 27th, we will have a senior banquet, which I'm told is not tentative any longer.
Okay, great. Yay.
May 15th is the FFA banquet.
Yes, that we saw that on Facebook, and that had come through our. Yeah, that's great. And that is wonderful. It hadn't come through our office, so I didn't know about it.
Okay.
But I was going to get some more details and finalize that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can't see.
I saw that last night as well.
Yeah, I talked to the student
Okay.
today. She had me came over so I could print her tickets and
Okay.
some posters. And I gave her the facility
Perfect.
use forms to
Perfect.
fill out.
And of course, it's wonderful. We just wanted to make sure we
Mhm.
weren't double booked and trying to.
Mhm. We have
teach all the
custodial service available.
Okay.
systems how to go through that process. But that's great.
All right. That is everything, I think. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting this evening at 7:14. Thank you.
sixth grade success in my
Afraid to go outside.
I mean,
What the heck?
That'll be what,
I was.
no, that's part of